I would say they're writing their assertions. Their grievances, have been come up, long-standing in the community. We've heard time and time again where you're out socializing or sitting amongst a classroom and stuff like that. They always make the assumptions. What the hell does OHA do? I look at the academic people in this room, and I'm swamped by several of my friends, my tenants in my building, telling me, I needed financial aid. Went down there, got a flyer, like you said, had to jump through several hoops just to get to a point of standing in which they would recognize me, only to be told that, well, there's only so many positions that, funding that's been made available and whatnot. So at the end of all this endeavor, I was given a denial letter, and so forth. And magic question that everybody asks is, where the hell's the money going? What the hell are they doing? And then basically, that question is left vague, and nobody seems to know. I always tell them it's because the endeavors that they're taking, the policies that they've enriched, are catered to specifically one thing, and their priority over them, and that's nation building. They are trying desperately to try and solve the issue of the overthrow by means of federal recognition. Since 2000 and whatnot, our embattled incumbent that sits in this seat right now was the primary advocate of such an endeavor. She put it forth and said, let's go forth and pursue this matter. Why? We are indigenous people of the United States. And people turn around and say, no, we're not. Our political status has not been reaffirmed in that matter. We still have rights that are unexplored. So people come to me and say, why is OHA not doing that? And the question has always been, again, look at their mission statement. Look at this, look at that. Look at the personalities that compose the dynamics of that board. It has always been. The policies have been reflected, the mission statements have been tweaked to do one thing only, and that's get the Akaka bill passed. Now they're endorsing the Native Hawaiian Royal Commission, which I believe, and they're saying that, sign up, get involved, do this thing, why? Register, just like how Kaurenoa was, and that was a failure, another waste of money. But they learned from it, they learned what they needed to do in order to succeed, and part of that is to sign up. And I always tell them this, as part of the Royal Commission's influence, which I'm against. They say, sign up, stand up, be recognized. I always tell them, what are you relinquishing when you pursue this endeavor? What are you giving up? And they ask that question is your inherent right. They call it the inherent unrelinquished sovereignty that is out there. And they've so much tasked it that they're going to pursue to try and solve this problem. That was not their mandate. That was not their kuleana. What a conflict of interest having a state agency trying to make a nation. And I think that's vitally important to all our viewers to see who amongst this panel members supports that. Are you in favor of a Royal Commission, which Act 195 specifically states in Section 2, subparagraph 8, that the state of Hawaii has control over this thing? It's in there, the reaffirmation of the admission law that gave the state its power. It's in that black and white lettering. Or do you at least want to have the right to explore the right that your ancestors preserved and gave to you? That's what OHA needs to do by leveling the playing field. Make it equal, have an informed vote, make it formal. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Aquino?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and I want to commend Keali'i Makekau for his very fine answer. He was speaking in his final minute and a half on the fact that OHA has fiercely focused upon the passing of the Akaka Bill and specifically upon the establishment of a Native Hawaiian nation based upon blood. Now let me say this very clearly. Whether there should be such a nation is a fair, debatable question. It is. And there are individuals who are passionately for such a nation. There are also individuals who are passionately against such a nation. There are Hawaiians who believe that that is the solution for our future, and there are Hawaiians who believe that to create a blood race nation would be harmful and harm the advancement of Hawaiians. Can you at least all understand that bona fide Hawaiians and non-Hawaiians differ on that issue? So what do? Should we have OHA take one of those positions and use all of its vast wealth to advocate for it? I want to ask those of you who have one of those positions to step back. Don't be an advocate for your point of view. Think of the common good. The common good is to create an agency that serves the good despite the differences of political positions. I am firmly for OHA stepping out of the political rink, whether it is rail or whether it is nationhood and so forth, and instead fulfilling its mandate, fulfilling its mission to provide for the advancement of the Hawaiian people and the advancement of all people so that the whole system advances, so that the water level of all boats rises. And if OHA gets involved and takes to the hilt one of these political positions, they will alienate the rest of the population. Do you follow what I'm saying? Now, if you want nationhood, do you need OHA? Absolutely not. I was a delegate at the Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement, a group of 125 Hawaiian advocacy groups, including the Native Hawaiian Legal Corporation. I commend them for their work. You absolutely do not need OHA in order to move forward on the advocacy necessary to establish a Hawaiian nation. If you want to do that. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. But let me say this. The key to the answer to this question of accountability is that voters in this state see OHA for what it is and for what it is not. It is not the ali'i, it is not the ruling board, it is not the end-all and be-all of Hawaiians. It is one of 130 different organizations that are at work serving the Hawaiians. It can be, I agree with Walter Riddy, temporary, and someday we'll no longer have a need to exist. But in the meantime, while it exists, it is a state agency that needs to be held accountable by the active participation of all registered voters to choose trustees every 2 years at an election. Right now, an abysmally small number of voters participate. It's your duty, whether you're Hawaiian or not, to appoint the OHA trustees, because it is the work of the people, by the people, and for the people who are the voting public. Now, there are other Hawaiian organizations that, if you're not Hawaiian, you may not have part of. That's fine. But when it comes to OHA, understand what it is and what it is not, and appoint trustees as your right and duty as a voter to hold it accountable to the common good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lincoln.
Please, what was your question?
Well, the question was, given the criticism surrounding the function of OHA as a representative of all Native Hawaiians, how do you propose to address those that think OHA lacks transparency, accessibility, and accountability?
With your vote, I will promote ensuring the perpetuation of our culture, an enhancement of our lifestyle, and the protection of entitlements to Native Hawaiians. As your OHA trustee, I will advocate that the policies and decisions made by all trustees are truly for the benefit of all Hawaiians and our other constituents. I will also promote more information to the people for better understanding of policies that are being made by all trustees in the names of Native Hawaiians that affect our everyday lifestyle. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Mr. Riddy.
Yes, so the question is about transparency and accessibility. That's a major problem that we have. We have statewide offices on each island, and these offices are not really connected to their communities. Trustees come to each island once a year, and we gotta wait 1 year before we can talk to them on Molokai. And when they come, they're not interested in what you're saying. They're more interested in selling you what they're doing. And they want you to say, mahalo for all the grants. So all the guys with grants, they line up and they all speak first. You know, mahalo, mahalo for all the money you gave us for this and that. And that's the process. There's really no link. So I'm so fed up with that. You know, that's why I keep saying I want to go out there and organize the people and get them to be part of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Yeah, technically we're a state agency, but that doesn't mean we have to act like a state agency. We're a Hawaiian agency. So this transparency thing is going to stay there until we organize our people to become part of who OHA is and what they should be. So unity is really critical. I think it's time for us to unite as Hawaiians. I disagree a lot with what he was saying about this being what is really not. It's important for Hawaiians to become sovereignty in this state. The leadership in this state has taken us into a position where we've been totally disconnected with our resources. And if the Hawaiians receive their sovereignty, that means we're going to take away a historical kakio, historical sword that's been there and is real and alive, and everybody keeps looking the other way, and it's hampering the progress of the state of Hawaii. So the problem is that the state has not given us good leadership. It's continental leadership on little dots in the middle of the Pacific that doesn't work. So we need to look at traditional knowledge. We need to look at people who have success stories in sustainability for thousands of years. That's the kind of leadership, that's the kind of knowledge that is going to allow all of us to live here on these islands forever and ever. And the people that have that knowledge are the Hawaiian people. And we've been pushed down, where we cannot really speak. And that's why I want to introduce bills so we sit on these things. That's ridiculous. We need to be leaders. We need to set the example. We need to tell people how to survive in the middle of the Pacific on these little dots of land. So I'm really a strong supporter of sovereignty. Mr. Makikawa wants to know where we stand on this commission. Either the commission is going to be an opportunity or it's going to be a threat. And I think it's an opportunity that we should look at really carefully and participate and see if we can turn the tide in bringing people together and Hawaiians together and to stop fighting with each other. It's good to fight the Akaka bill. It's something from the top down. This one is home-based. We have an opportunity to drive this car and come from the bottom up. So I really support this whole idea of the Royal Commission. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
For